Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha K Geek XX Chic, and today we are doing a little bit of a sidestep from my reactions to the Wheel of Time series. I was made aware a couple episodes ago that apparently there are some bonus episodes that kind of give us a little bit more background around the world that this is being built around. I'm thinking it's not quite as detailed as reading the books, of course, but it is some background information on things that we may not be able to pick up on in the episode, or let's face it, even though these episodes are like 55 minutes long, there's only so much you can stick in an episode, so much exposition you can do without making the whole thing just either way too verbose or way too long. So I'm going to go through and watch episodes 1 through 4 since I have actually reacted to episodes 1 through 4 of these little mini series, and I'm hoping that it'll give me a lot of good context on what it is that I don't know or some of the history that we weren't able to watch through the episode. So let's get into this first mini episode called The Breaking of the World. Dark, like it. It's a little loud, oops.
Lews Therin and the forces of light struck the Dark One and sealed him away.
Okay. He still looks great.
The Dark One poisoned the source of power for male Aes Sedai.
I mean, as long as it isn't for us, I'm kind of thankful he left us out of it.
He murdered his beloved wife.
Ooh, man,
His children.
that's some foreshadowing for poor Perrin.
His friends.
Oh, damn.
The Dark One
Oh.
released Lews Therin from his madness.
I like that. The shift of the Saiyan eyes from
Lews
the
Therin alone
crazy
suffered.
ones.
No male Aes Sedai was spared. And so began the breaking.
I see. So there were male Aes Sedai before this.
Time they changed the face of the world.
I would
They
say.
entered the Age of Legends. Humanity is driven to the brink of extinction.
Wow, okay, they weren't kidding. This is bad.
What few survivors remained are scattered across a broken and unrecognizable land.
Okay, this is dire. But I get that. You get a bunch of powerful men who've lost their minds. They would have a huge impact.
And so entire civilizations had disappeared.
Wow.
Centuries of progress and knowledge gone.
I guess.
As an Aes Sedai, to protect the world from another such breaking.
I guess it would, considering the way you've described it. Pretty much end of world, end of days. All right. Short but dark. Wow. Okay, so we got a lot of context there as far as a little bit of that history. In the first episode, I kind of assumed that this was only a woman thing, especially the way that the red Aes Sedai chick came up to that dude and basically was like, "You make it filthy." And I was like, okay, maybe this is just a girl thing. But thankfully, a lot of you in the comments, thank you very much, let me know that this was not always just a woman thing, that both male and female could be channelers, but that one side was corrupted, and now we know that this is what happened. This gives me more questions about the Dark One, like why would he only lash out at one of the genders, or was that all the power he had access to, or was it more that he had anger at the men? But I guess it's a good thing he didn't do both, because clearly that would have completely destroyed the world. Definitely much more understandable why the world broke, so to speak, when you think about the fact that you've got men who have lost their minds but have this unmanageable amount of power, right? We saw that just with the false dragon in episode 4, right? How much power these guys can have. And so, yeah, if you've got somebody with that level of power, or Moraines, or whatever was going on with Mos Espa Nynaeve, yeah, I can see how things got atrociously out of hand and why there's a lot of people who side-eye the Aes Sedai. So that was great. That was episode 1. All right, now we're on to episode 2, which is called The Fall of Manetheren. We heard this being spoken about by Moiraine on that horse riding scene with everybody, where they were Mat started singing a song which he did not know what the origins were, and we just basically heard that it was a horrible, bloody battle that lasted a very long time and basically wiped out most of the people of the twin rivers, or yeah, the 2 rivers, I should say. Let's find out the bloody history of the fall of Manetheren right about now.
1,000 years after the breaking.
Oh wow, that was a long time.
Still raged against the forces of the Dark One.
Wow. Wait, so there were dark forces on top of the poison mind Aes Sedai? Ooh, that crown!
Through unrelenting days and nights, they held their city against Trollocs, dark friends, and dreadlords until they could no longer hold the river from crossing.
I mean, it sounds like y'all did some badass work, though. Not these damn Voldemort kids again. This animation is amazing. I love the fact that they're mixing kind of like modern animation with like this oil painting style. I wish I knew more about like actual animation to know what this is called. Wow. 2 arrows.
Was shattered.
His wife.
And so her heart and kingdom found their end.
Oh, her heart and kingdom. That's such a poetic yet horrible thing to hear. There was that blast they talked about. Literally, what, I guess a visualization of true heartbreak, right?
The wheel continues to turn.
His crown was still there? I guess the Dark One doesn't keep trophies. Or did somebody pick that up? Is that going to show up later? Is it cursed? Oh, too many questions now. Dang. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like in the episode they covered the vast majority of exactly what we saw there. I mean, I love seeing, there's something about like hearing a tale obviously evokes a lot, especially if you've got a good storyteller. But for me, I'm a visual person. So seeing the imagery, the darkened skies, the char of burn, the broken wood and the cinders and, you know, the tired face of the king that's streaked in dirt and blood, like that kind of stuff really affects me more and helps me to understand how visceral this battle was and how horrible it was, but also how hard it was to keep that going. The last thing I'll say about it is this showing of when the queen let out all that one source at everything. It's interesting. There's so many books out there that do their best to describe the undescribable feeling of heartbreak, right? We all kind of understand it to a degree because we've all experienced pain or hurt, but to be truly heartbroken over something, I think it's just something that as humans, it's so powerful. It's so, it's something that just completely rocks our world. And so I love that in this particular instance, it seems like the queen just basically letting out this burst that burned everything in its path for miles in every direction. Like that just is such I think a great way to kind of illustrate the amount of pain. Like they said, she lost her heart and she lost her home. That was great. Good to know, kind of have that history. But the crown is interesting. The fact that the crown is still out there, potentially for the taking, and what that might mean. Okay, on to episode 3, which is called The Greatest Warder. Do not enter. Oh, okay. This is not as brotherly as what we saw Lan and the other dude doing in episode 4.
Jerome Gaidin.
Jerome.
The greatest swordsman.
Interesting. Okay. We like the stock.
Those with a sword knew no equal.
Gotcha. Ooh, that sound. Uh-huh. You deserved it. I'm not looking at you, man.
All who should cross him found themselves at the far end of his blade.
Damn. And it's a long sword, too. He was strong.
10,000 victories. And
Damn.
a single loss.
10,000 is no joke.
His sole defeat became a legacy.
Well, I'd say.
Never again underestimate your fellow man. Respect the wielder, not the weapon.
Right? I like that expression. Respect the wielder, not the weapon. So is that kind of a lesson in not being too confident in someone's skills, or not necessarily, I guess obviously not underestimating, but very interesting story about someone who basically 10,000 victories is no joke. That's impressive. That is very, very impressive. It makes me wonder who he was a warder for though, because it sounds like warders have relationships with Aes Sedai, but again, I'm making an assumption. Potentially warders used to do their own thing. Maybe the binding only happened after the world broke. Kind of hard to tell. But yeah, it's nice to get a little bit of history around how they're trained and some of the ideals that they're given. Thank you for that little piece of history. All right, now on to episode 4, which is the last one of these little mini episodes that we have for now. And it is called Sidon, Sidar, Stone. So I believe that those two first things, if I remember the comments saying those are the two sides of this power, the male and female side, the stone part, guess we might find out in this. Let's jump into episode 4, which is what I just said right about now. That's a long bridge.
Spine of the world, when the island of Tarvalon splits the mighty river Erin into two halves. Thousands of years ago, there existed a great era of humanity.
Y'all can just be making lights? Orbs of light? It's very helpful.
What little knowledge survived the breaking alludes to incredible progress.
Wow.
Society benefited through true collaboration.
This city looked cool. Very modern-like, actually.
Saida and Saidin.
Okay.
Woman and man.
Got it.
Halves of the whole. Two parts of
Said.
the same soul. When men touch Saidin, it's wild and unwieldy. Raging torrent resisting. The madness is unavoidable.
Interesting. So that's the way it was beforehand. To some degree.
When women touch the true source with Saida, we surrender and guide.
Interesting.
In its gentleness, we find its infinite power.
Much different. I like this imagery better than the man's side.
To master these waters will take time and practice.
I would think.
My daughters, let us begin.
All right.
Thing in your mind is the bud of the flower.
Right. This is what she Moraine walked Egwene through.
You and the bud are one.
I see. So this is part of the training. She just started to get more Egwene right up in there. I kind of like that. I like how it's just kind of a segue into how they start to train how to use this source of power. What an interesting way to describe the two of them. From the sounds of things, if I understood that correctly, the male side of it was pretty wild and untamed to begin with. I mean, both are powerful, right? There's power in chaos and there's power in the deep and still. But I mean, I guess it very much also goes back to a lot of belief systems on how male and female energy work, in the sense of men are often attributed with being a little bit more of the strong, wild kind of bursts of energy, strength, and almost, one could say, spontaneity, whereas women tend to be a little bit more on the calmer side, a little bit more of the balm that soothes and covers all these different cracks in the foundation, so to speak. And, we all know women are very strong, though. Like, if you know the current, water is one of the strongest powers in the world. Water can, it can wear away stone, it can wear away wood, it can put out fires, and considering that they showed the men's side as fire. But what I'm seeing here, it does seem like maybe the man's side was always a bit chaotic and hard to control, and that might be why they said that the Dark One was able to corrupt that side. And it definitely makes it sound like the female side of it is much more of a channeling, right? She says that we surrender and guide, whereas the men, it's like they try to tame it. And that definitely coincides with what we saw in episode 4 with the false dragon. He was definitely struggling. Great. I like that. I like that explanation. It gives us a little bit more history of the fact that it's all part of this one power, but that it just kind of divides itself based on the wielder. These were great. Thanks so much for telling me about it. And I'm glad that I'm seeing them. I'm going to continue to watch them and react to them, but I'm going to react to them post-episode going forward. Thanks so much for suggesting it for those who did. This is a lot of great information, and the animation's fantastic, and it is great supplemental to all the stuff that we see in the episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up as it helps the algorithm, and we will see you in the next video.